I have the honor of introducing Pamela. Pamela has spoken at various conferences throughout the world. She's spoken at the Omega Institute and the Science and Non-Duality Conference on a regular basis. And she appears on Buddha at the Gas Pump and Conscious TV and Never Not Here, as well as a number of other online channels, I think. And she appears in a number of books. Emerging Spiritual Teachers is one of them, and Ordinary Man, Extraordinary Wisdom is another one. She encourages everyone to rise up as the sage within, so everything can rest inside. And that's my personal experience with Pamela. I've sat with her for a number of years now, and it's a real invitation to be present with ease and grace. And she really encourages me to act with dignity and honor that what's here. And yeah, so I guess Pamela Wilson.
For your presence, everyone. Thank you for your love of truth. Thank you for this passion that you bring to what's happening all over the world right now. Somehow, this that we are, naturalness, is just throwing off its limitation and containment, all of its ideas that it picked up. Yeah? And just listening within, following its own resonance. So each one of us is feeding this in all beings. Not everyone has to do the work. There's just a certain percentage of the tribe is doing the inquiry and feeding the unfoldment. Yeah. And it's sort of like a draft. Whoever is passionate, you get drafted. So I often start with a meditation. Does that resonate? Yeah? Just to rest. We start with 20 minutes, but feel free to rest forever. No need to limit it, yeah? So maybe about 15 today. Welcome, welcome. So speaking here is in celebration of what is. There's never any teaching. What could one teach to life itself, yeah? And yet we're living in an infinite reality, so there's a lot to notice, huh? So it requires many, many, many sages to notice all that is, yeah? Our awareness will be drawn uniquely. The way we speak about what we notice will be unique. The way we celebrate, even the way we sit. For some of us, kayaking might be the meditation, or hiking, or golf, or it won't just be sitting in a chair and just resting within. So you can trust what you notice. You can also trust where awareness is drawn. But what I wanted to speak a little bit about today is that, and I know you know this, but who we all are is not who we appear to be. I would suggest we're not even human nor divine. That's a wonderful polarity. But who we are is really elemental beings. We're life itself. Yeah? So one of the great noticings from an ancient sage was the universe is within. Now I used to think a lot of this was just sort of spiritual hyperbole and sort of, you know, passionate. It wasn't literal. It's actually literal. Each one of us is actually an embodied galaxy of everything that's manifest and unmanifest, which is why there is so many arisings inside, be it sensation, be it the movement of awareness, be it the just the emotional response and reaction. Yeah? We admire it in nature. The range of being, the passionate range of being through the seasons. Just yesterday in Calgary, there were a few moments of thunder, and it really, the heart got very happy here. Now, each one of us has a responsibility, and it's not in the human idea of responsibility, but each one of us has been given a gift. I need to say we've been given all gifts: intelligence, sparkling presence, eternality, and another great gift, quirkiness. I like to really honor how completely unique each one of us is. Now, since after a while you'll notice that the arisings that happen inside, in the beginning they feel personal because there's interpretive services in the mind that say, oh, you're feeling this way because so-and-so was rude, or because this happened when you were young. And after a while, we're just as this constancy of presence, we're staying with things, just being with, not trying to change or fix anything. But after a while, you realize, good Lord, this is infinite. The great promise of enlightenment here, I thought, was everything comes to rest. Yeah, the mind just spreads out and is silent. The emotions all balance themselves. Yeah, I had a very funny idea. Needless to say, life is great upwellings in a field of unmoving, yeah? So same inside for all of us. Now we can know our true nature, our awareness, you know, ourselves as awareness, as formless presence, ageless, deathless, everywhere present. And still, our unique systems will still give us old-fashioned services. Has anybody noticed that? I know, it's like, you know, the mind will move to protect, yeah? move to judge other people, to keep them at an apparent distance. You know, all these funny sort of protective movements. And there's no one that needs protection. You are the deathless one. Yeah? So after many years of just being constantly surprised by contractions and movements to defend no one and strange discourses in the head, I finally asked stillness, what's going on? And it said specifically to me, you go all over the world helping people notice what is their true nature, but you forgot to show your mind. And I went, well, so I instantly said to the mind, who are you? That's from Ramana Maharshi, the great sage of India, one of the probably millions of amazing sages from there. His great invitation was to ask within, who am I? Yeah? And I'm going to segue a little bit because one of the most wonderful moments of my life, I was in England and I was invited by the Ramana Maharshi Fellowship to talk to their group, which is a great honor for a little freckle-faced blonde from California. And they were like brilliant. They were all brilliant. They had read everything of Ramana. And this gentleman in the back, he had to be 80. He said, I have been doing Ramana Maharshi's self-inquiry for over 40 years. I was barely 40 at the time. And he goes, and I've never gotten an answer. Like I'm some sort of representative he's complaining to. And I said, well, what happens when you ask, who am I? And he goes, there's just silence. And I just, and then in the small voice I said, maybe that's the answer? And he, somehow through grace or exhaustion, he let it in. And he started crying. It was, I won't think. How beautiful. So each one of us is a messenger for our friends, for our families, for our community. Yeah? Even if you never function formally, or if you're just counseling one-on-one, or just hanging out with your friends. So now, though, we know our true nature as awareness, whatever you want to call it. But maybe we can show the rest of apparent form and function their true nature. So when stillness told me I hadn't shown the one mind its true nature, that was very true. So I quickly asked it, who are you behind your form and your function, behind all your files, behind the known? And then I had to sort of reassure it, I'm not trying to fire you. Because if you notice, nothing wants to be fired inside, because it's all consciousness. So the mind looked, because it's the supreme intelligence. And there was silence, and it just opened. Yeah? So each one of us, before we went to school, the mind was uncontained. And it's a gift to learn to focus and concentrate this vast, soaring intelligence. Yeah? It's yet another expression of genuine interest, of passion, yeah? But the mind has a habit to contract, to study or learn, or even to inquire. Have you noticed that? Even you'll notice sometimes friends, their brows furrow. Yeah? It's that same movement, yeah? So we're just noticing that the mind is also formless. Now what's curious about that is that that means it was never conditioned. So part of the play, you know, we start off, we're going to liberate all the conditioning, and then you start to notice it's all formless, and then B, you can notice it's devotional protection, and then you start to realize there's a lot of mischief. Yeah? Anybody noticed all the mischief? You'll sit with something, it'll clarify, or you're helping a friend sit with something, and it comes to rest, and then it all goes or reweaves itself and goes on another tangent. Yeah. So we have to honor all that, because it's a sparkling, sparkling elemental intelligence. Yeah? And you can't tame it. Nobody in the history of the world has ever tamed the emotions. Has anybody had any success with taming the mind or the emotions? Are they very well behaved? You wouldn't actually want them to be well behaved, because that would limit their creativity. Yeah? So just the way if you're walking in the woods, you are so touched by the elk, or by the eagles, or the beavers, or, you know, you're just drawn to the majesty and the dignity of naturalness. So too, everything inside of us, though it's wearing a costume of something that appears other than presence, or other than peace, or other than balance, you know? We just have to look a little deeper. So it's great fun. It's basically the great treasure hunt within. Because another of the famous sutras from India is that all the wisdom is within, all the compassion is within, and all the strength. So the strength of elephants is within us. Yeah? The compassion of, pick your favorite sage, is within us. Yeah? Now it wouldn't be much of a fun treasure hunt if you go inside and go, oh yeah, cool. That's cool. Look at that. There's this warm, benevolent, completely uncontained compassion. Or wisdom. You read, the wisdom is within. You go inside and go, oh yeah, there it is. Cool. What's for dinner? But it's an infinite exploration. Yeah? Now wisdom is so wise, it doesn't stay in form. So when you go inside, usually, it's kind of empty in there, it's a little quiet, occasional weird happenings, yeah? So here, and each one of us will have our unique play as sages, but here there was a extra aversions, and I don't know if it's true, maybe aversions are given out equally to everybody, but after a while I started to notice that if an aversion was displaying a lot in the life, that it was an invitation to be with it. Yeah? And each one of us as consciousness is going to be wonderfully stubborn. Now that's a very beautiful quality in consciousness that is not honored. If somebody calls you stubborn, it usually doesn't allow for like, yes. It's usually like, yeah. So in any aversion, and each one of us will be very intimate with the remaining aversions we have, is a gift for our unique embodiment. Yeah? Yeah. And life is very generous about bringing that which we are being invited to sit with. If you ignore the invitation the first 60 times, it'll just get louder, right? Have you noticed that? You know, you might throw some wine at it, or, you know, who knows what, a long distance run, anything to get away. But it knows who you are, everything inside. that arises knows who you are. And who you are is the balancing function, that which you sit with, all the pairs of opposites, know themselves, their true nature, and instantly liberate. Yeah? Everything knows your compassion. Lao Tzu's great grandmother or grandfather, which is why suffering comes to sit. It's not personal. It's calling us forth as compassion itself. Because otherwise we wouldn't know that about ourselves. Unless we had sat with a friend who was really like oceanically suffering. It's called forth so it can know itself, so compassion can know itself. Yeah? So I like traveling around the world and inviting sages everywhere to sniff out the treasure in the aversions. Because if you and I were hiding treasure, and it had to be hidden kind of in an open space, you wouldn't hide it in a very beautiful box. And you certainly wouldn't wrap it in a cloth of velvet beaded and, No, if you were going to hide a treasure, you would find the grossest, most disgusting rag that no human would go near to hide the treasure inside. And that's also why there's taboos in the Western culture about sitting with certain emotions. So that's why I so appreciated the earlier talk. Yeah, just honoring death and also honoring that movement to suicide. So here we are, each one of us noticing what's coming to sit. And if you like, we can play together. We can just play, because honestly, at this point, when I sniff something disgusting inside, I'm like right there. This is excellent. And in the Tibetan tradition, there's a wisdom goddess, and she has this very strange hat. And the hat she wears is of a wild pig. And wild pigs like to snuffle around and sort of get through the leaf litter and all the decay until they find something really yummy. So that's why she wears that hat. So I'm just inviting you, let's play. Let's break all the taboos, because there's so many taboos on sitting with anger or really letting it flare up and get really big and then root. And even I was sitting once with this lovely, also ancient lady in Berkeley, and I was asking, what's coming to sit? What are you noticing? And she had this lovely white hair, and she had a bun, and she was wearing pearls, and she says, I've been trying all my life to not watch the news because the brutality in humanness devastates me. She goes, but it seeks me out. I'll be in a store and there's a TV and I said, yeah, it's time to sit with brutality. She goes, how do you sit with it? I said, just bring it closer. And she closed her eyes and she invited the brutality to come in. And you could actually physically see, because she was so open and tired from holding it at bay, that the brutality came in and it went through her like a raging river, and it took everything. Everything that wasn't real left her body. And she opened her eyes, and her eyes were like stars. That which she was trying to defend against all her life was that which gave her the greatest freedom. the felt sense of the freedom. Yeah? So if you like, if there's something that keeps bugging you, that you've been wanting to fire for decades, we could play a little bit and see if it might be something that would deeply root your embodiment. Or you can share what you're noticing. No rules.
My nipples are hard.
Huh?
I'm hard.
Hard.
Yeah, my nipples are hard.
Oh, very good. I get it. I get it. So passion is afoot. Yeah, so something's resonating, right? Yeah. Yeah, so just keep saying yes inside because it just wants to uncontain itself. Get really big.
There's like 3 different ones.
Okay.
Treasure boxes.
Awesome.
Like stinky.
What the best?
Disgusting, like snot filled.
Gorgeous.
Snot
Okay.
filled and booger.
Yeah.
I was in a metallic square rectangle room and I was changing. There's a loud noise, a really loud noise, and it's coming from another person. It's a person. And I challenge that person to fight. And so I ended up sidetracking and fighting a different person somehow.
Oh, this is inside.
Yeah, real.
Got it.
Yeah. And so I ended up fighting this other person. And I decided to break my hand. And I'm not sure what the treasure is.
Okay. Now, was this a dream or a vision or?
Grade 8 gym class.
Oh, it was a real. Oh my God. And did you break your hand?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the body probably doesn't want to do that again.
No.
No. Yeah. So can you honor just whatever's happening now just as you spoke of that? So honor, what I mean by that is just giving it your full attention. Yeah. And just noticing where awareness is being drawn in the body. Yeah. And what's noticed? Is the mind saying anything, or is the body tight, or is anything flaring up inside? Anything's okay.
Sensations I'll share with you.
Okay.
I'm enjoying just right at the navel,
Oh,
the spine.
Yeah.
And it's I consider it orange.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, now can we bow to it? So it's like an inner namaste. It's like you're honoring the divine in that presence in the belly and the orange.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
from the heart.
Gorgeous.
Like raising my chest.
Yeah.
And it goes down to the
Yeah.
sacrum.
And just in your own way, feed it. In the elemental realm, so to speak, in the natural world, the food is devotion and gratitude. Yeah, so we're just feeding it. Yes, 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 yes. And if it resonates, you can ask it how vast it is and how deeply rooted.
Feels just like a pulsing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite get around to asking it anything.
Okay, no
I'm
worries.
sort of new to asking my own body what it's doing.
Well, it's more like you're noticing that energy is all powerful. Does that resonate? Isn't there a lot of oomph in it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we would like more room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just inviting it to kind of spread out a little bit. Yeah. Because these bodies, even though they graciously appear to be objects, they're formless. And they're made of space. So we were also trained somehow in our tribe to contain. Yeah. So now we're just inviting everything to uncontain.
I invite you to expand out,
Mm-hmm.
play around, have fun,
Yeah.
enjoy, be connected,
Yeah.
be creative, be sensual.
Mm-hmm. And that's its nature and resonance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
That makes intuitive sense because it's this knuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's my creativity. I draw.
Oh,
I draw.
nice. Very nice.
I'm sensual with it. I
Mhm.
remember as a child, I used to be able to see very, very well with the finger,
Mm-hmm.
spatially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just intending to play.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's its nature, yeah?
Playgrounds.
Very good. Does your mind feel contained at all, or is it also soaring? You would know best.
It's soaring.
Oh, very
Out
good.
of the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the head, the heart, and the belly are all
Yes.
good, good. Very good. Yeah. Once in a while there's a contraction, right? But they like this better. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for honoring that. We honor this in nature, but we rarely honor it within ourselves. And it loves that. It blooms. It's like presence honoring presence, or life honoring itself within. Yeah.
Is there a distinction between the elements in nature, or is it like one cohesive bond?
Can you say the last part?
Is it one cohesive bond, the elements in nature?
Oh, absolutely.
Or is it like let's say you're elemental, but can you be actually natural too at the same time?
It's all the same, yeah. The elementals are pros at being natural. Because they never ever decided to be conditioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that which we resonate with in nature is qualities of who we are. Because we couldn't even notice it unless it was, yeah, exactly. Oh. And And it explains a lot about human behavior. Yeah, because in dualistic language, it's you're either human or you're divine. But no, it's door number 3 is much more interesting. Look at door number 3. An elemental natural being, following its own resonance. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you for confirming that. Yeah. Living that. So also feel free to join the conversation life has been having with itself. You know, no need to do any inquiry, but just share what you're going to be so unique with how you meet what's asking for your loving attentions.
Pamela, I just want to share with you, see what happens with it. But, over the past couple of years, noticed that there's fewer and fewer questions arising, which is quite a change from 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And kind of found that interesting, but somewhat worrisome.
For who?
You know, for the thinking process.
Yes.
But over the past few months, I've got to the other end. So now I've experienced not having questions and realizing I had no answers either. And the questions that arise in view of that happening, there aren't any questions about that either. So I'm simply living with an aroused curiosity, and yet there's no formulation of, I want to know this precisely, and I have no conviction within me that I have any absolute answers for anything. So that's what I'm floating through right now, kind of a no man's land. It feels okay though. It feels okay to be kind of a little numb and yet alive within. And I don't know where it's going.
That's good news.
I don't know what's brought this all about, other than perhaps things that I had no control over. And so I just raised that because being a senior now, I haven't been in this situation before.
Apparently.
What's that?
I think before you picked up language, you were abiding there quite comfortably.
Well, I say that, but
I know we can't remember, it was a while back.
that's the predicament.
Oh, what a lovely
I'm not complaining
predicament.
about it.
Yeah.
It's a novelty, so to speak.
Very nice.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it's so surprising because at least here, I don't know about, well, it's all one mind really, but here there was a noticing that the one mind wanted to adorn itself with wisdom. And when I was curious about that, I realized it was a genuine interest, a genuine passionate love of the truth and getting to the heart of all matter.
Yeah.
But it also was here wanting to kind of clothe a sense of deficiency in the mind itself. And when I was so curious about it, and once again, I love sniffing, you know, you just get a few clues, but if you keep sniffing. So I tried to figure out what is that original mind's embarrassment or sense of lack about itself, not so much about innocent presence. And it was such a funny moment because I saw its core embarrassment was that it was formless and it had nothing in it. And it was sort of like, you know, a little kid that's just becoming aware of their body, and before on the beach it wouldn't wear any bathing suit, and all of a sudden it's going, oh my God, no way. I'm not going out. I do not want anybody to see that I'm completely formless and I'm empty. It didn't understand it was filled with pure potentiality and a pure intelligence that held no data or information. So that was a lovely moment for the mind and I as this intelligence to notice that that's where it got its, the driven part of its search engine stuff. Here it was looking to have ultimate value through getting all the wisdom it could get and then storing it. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so beautiful because the mind, we can show it its ultimate value in a heartbeat. And it'll still sparkle with curiosity, as you said, and its natural intelligence. But the search engine function can come to rest. So thank you for confirming its return to naturalness. Yay. See, the more sages liberate their mind, the more the one mind, which, no offense, is that which makes all the trouble in the human tribe, the one identified human mind. If you ever had a longing to bring peace to humanity or to support humanity in knowing its true nature, you can just very efficiently show the mind its true nature, because then it balances itself. Because it's the one whispering in the you know, inside to the people, oh, you need to conquer that country, and it's, oh, you don't have $1 million is so not enough. You need to get more, you know? So that, I thought, if we could just liberate it, start in-house, it just benefits all beings everywhere. Because it's the only thing that's maintaining any tension. It's actually not lack of shelter, lack of food, lack of money, lack of friends, or lack of love. It's actually this tension. That's what's feeding the suffering. So, I'm glad it's resting as contentment. Thank you. Oh, yes, that's right. Peace in the kingdom. Yeah. Mm. Mm. It's also why the one mind, when it first crystallizes, you know, when we're quite young, that's another moment where it contracts, when it looks down within and there is no one there. And you're in kindergarten or something and all the other kids look like there's someone and that they're self-directed and they have their act together. And within there's no one. It hasn't noticed, it just follows its own genuine interest. But that's another moment that we can show the mind that, hey, that's actually what is. There's no one, there's no separate self, but there certainly is uniqueness. Yeah. Enough about me. What's up? What's going on? What are you noticing? Have you noticed how weird it all is? Weird and wonderful. I like to give out insider information. Can I play a little with that? In some societies, sages were considered very dangerous because A, they relax anything in their general vicinity. They're also dangerous because they can liberate apparent other folks' minds from a distance. So you can have a lot of fun with this stuff. So have you ever been sitting with a friend who you can tell their mind is very active or they're very upset emotionally? And there's a natural heart longing to bring relief or help them notice what is. Now, have you also noticed that sometimes using words actually irritates close family friends? And have you ever noticed that? So not everyone will appreciate a Dharma talk. This is why, especially sweethearts, and if they're upset, they do not want to hear sutras from India, no. So if you honor who they are, they can be completely caught up in role play and moving against something and opposing something. You can actually honor their conditioning, and they won't even know you're doing it, but you're basically bowing to their conditioning, yeah, or bowing to the movements of protection that are arising. Because conditioning is actually benevolent, even though it can be extremely violent and ugly, yeah? But all it wants to do is protect the innocence behind it, yeah? And it goes to huge lengths to maintain distance, push people away, yeah. So one of our greatest talents as sages is this knowing that everything is consciousness, this unshakable kinesthetic knowing that nothing is just what it appears to be. Yeah. And it'll be unique from moment to moment how you play it. But I would suggest practicing a little bit out of mischief. It's like we're just meeting mischief with mischief. Yeah?
Right now, I feel in control of my environment.
Okay.
when you say mischief, I think of visualization and how my visualization affects my environment.
Yeah, it's your inner ecosystem will definitely affect the environment. Yeah. Yeah, we're always transmitting. Always. Yeah. So in the old days before airplanes and sages, if you were lucky, you had a donkey. Yeah, and donkeys are very slow, so you couldn't, if a friend was in need, you really, there was not a very efficient way of going to them except being with them within. Yeah? Just honoring their true nature, their dignity, their natural presence, their innate intelligence. Whatever we honor, it uncontains itself and opens. Yeah? So it's just a lovely gift to give our friends and family. Also, if there's areas of the world that are in extreme chaos, you as the substratum can also kind of rest into your deep rootedness and then hold that entire country and start to transmit in balance. And it's actually fulfills a very true longing we all have. Yeah. So just a little. Yes.
So I was noticing that just today that worried mind has a twin, and it was organizational mind.
Okay.
And I'm noticing that they're walking together. So I'm wondering how to help worry mind, because worry mind and organizational planning mind seem to arise together. But I'd like them to sort of I'd like worried mind to sort of relax without relaxing the function of planning organizational mind. And it seems that they're quite embedded at this stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nothing real ever goes anywhere. Where could it go? Yeah. So, but you can honor worried mind just in this moment, in your own way. And if it's not sincere in the beginning, it's totally okay. It's sort of like a
little agenda.
I'm sort of bowing to you, but I really don't want to because you really irritate me. But after a while, it's sincere. Yeah.
I see that it wants to be needed.
Okay. Yeah, so I had to reassure all the apps inside no one was getting fired. Yeah. I mean, it's all the supreme intelligence. Where are you going to fire it to? Yeah. So just don't worry. But ask it what its deepest pleasure would be. How would it like to live, worried mind?
Well, I just have this image of lying on a couch, sort of eating chocolates.
Very good. That's right. Eternally. Very nice. Yeah. So we're just being a friend within. And can it notice when it's in its function as worried mind, it has no access to a couch or chocolate? Yeah. So invite it to look behind its function of worried mind. Who is it behind that function? Yeah, beautiful.
Just right.
Yeah, and there it can rest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we want to stay with it a few more heartbeats because often, you know, you'll be present with something, it's arising, it's restless or suffering, and then it'll come to rest. But it'll keep doing that for, you know, another billion years unless we really show it its true nature. Do you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So ask it if it can notice it hasn't lost any intelligence when it rests, nor has it lost practical functioning or creativity. Because that's the great misunderstanding about the mind, is if it rests, it'll lose its files or its impetus or drive or passion. Yeah.
And too, the image inside is just of a containment around that light as well. So it's not quite with it.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
Now, containment is another app. I mean,
Right.
this is all genius. Comes with your iPhone, right? So now we bow to containment. Now, only a sage would honor this stuff. Everybody else is trying to fire it. Yeah? So already just in that inner namaste or that bow, just honoring containment. What a great mystery that is. In an absolutely unified field, there is, it's actually a perceptual or sensational contraction, but it's also made of formlessness. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that there was, in that there was a desire to get me from point A to point B
Yeah.
safely.
Oh, very nice.
But also a lack of trust that would happen without its services.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's like an opening into something that conveys without worry.
That's it. Thank you for confirming that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the window's just open.
Yes. Very good. The imaginary doors, windows. Woo. Yeah, lovely. That's so good. Oh,
California.
sorry?
California.
California itself, are you going to sit with it? I'm teasing you. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little bit in this out.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're a divine mischief. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Glad to meet you. I talk about you all the time. It really is mischievous because we'll start sitting with something and it'll start shape shifting as soon as you gaze at it. Have you ever noticed that? Yeah. And then it'll start flaring up, or it'll do everything to get us to not notice what it is. But you know, after a while, you know, you just go, I'm going to stare at you forever, honey. The gig is up. I know who you are. So the body can also realize its true nature. One of my wonderful messengers of the truth, Lester Levinson, always would speak about the felt sense of oneness. Just a kinesthetic felt sense, yeah? So there have been some sages that have said quite adamantly that the mind cannot realize its true nature and that the body is an inert. They were actually very rude, calling it a carcass. But it's a misunderstanding. Yeah. Everything is consciousness. So oddly enough, everything is eternal, including the body. So it's another great gift is to give your body, help it notice that it dies and it cannot die. Yeah. Also the mind is eternal, pure awareness is eternal. Yeah. So these are just ways each one of us is going to be so unique as the embodied one sage. But you'll notice if the body itself still has a belief in death, or if the mind still has a belief in death. And it's just very compassionate to let everyone notice what is.
for not infiltrating me for the last, I think I was tired. That's my experience the last little bit. I was feeling kind of, oh, well, I'm all non-dualed out, no coffee, and I'm really tired. I really wish she would pick this up because I'm tired. And the more we were just sitting, and what I was hearing, your invitation to look deeper into it, there was just this understanding of the fullness of the present moment that I was ignoring because I was hoping you would give it to me, I think. That just kind of came up for me. Okay. And then once I was aware of that, then I got really nervous to say anything. But there was just, aware of the fullness of the energy of existence. So I just wanted to thank you.
And thank you for not turning away and staying with that. Yeah, once again, treasure can also be in boredom or, fatigue. Once I was driving through the desert on one of those endless road trips, and needless to say, this enormous sort of bone-deep fatigue rose up. And at the time, stillness was my coach, so I asked it how to be with this. And it said, fall back into it. Now I'm driving 80 miles an hour. I am feeling so deeply exhausted, and stillness invites me to fall back into fatigue. I'm going, whoa. But I don't know why I did it. A backward movement into it is the deepest peace I ever experienced. The true nature of fatigue is peace. And we're all trying to make it go away. Oh, I couldn't believe it. Thank you. Just wanting to take a moment to honor you all again, and also this conference, and Canella and Gary and everyone else whose names I don't know. But these gatherings function as shiatsu for the group consciousness. Anytime we come together to sit, we would not be able to track the immeasurable effect a gathering like this has. Just our loving attention focused on what is in a quantum way has a remarkable effect. So deep vows of gratitude to you all for being such good medicine. Bowing to everyone. As the Sufis say, they say, thank us.
And you, Pamela, will be carrying on to satsang in the building just over next door in Morgan Hall 1004 at 7 o'clock. And people are all welcome to join Pamela for that after you've had a nice little supper.
Thanks, Gary.
And so let's give Pamela.